Hello students, welcome to part 2 of the fun they had. In the first part, I had read the story word by word and I had explained the whole story to you. The background, the setting, the theme of the story, everything we had discussed. Now I'll give you a quick recap of the story. As you know, the story was set in 2157 AD, a lot many years after today's time. And in this story, this story is written by Isaac Asimov. He was a Russian who studied in America. He wrote science fiction, and this story is also a story in which he had imagined, so many years ago, how schools would be in future. And we don't have to wait till 2157 to have the kind of schools that are described in this story. Today, like right now, this is an example in 2020 that we are having almost the same kind of school. Although right now what we are going through, this is like a temporary setup and a temporary arrangement, but nevertheless we know now that it is quite possible. So The Fun They Had by Isaac Asimov is a futuristic story set in 2157 AD. The story writer envisions means imagines, what the schools and education system will look like in 21st century. The story opens with Margie writing in a diary about an old book that Tommy had found. Margie remembers her grandfather once talked about his grandfather who went to an actual school where the children went for education and where they were taught by human teachers. Now this struck the children as extraordinary because they thought that only the machine teachers, the mechanical teachers, they were the only ones who were qualified to teach because humans probably were not smart enough. Although they both thought that no, maybe that's not right because mm, they thought that their fathers were quite intelligent, quite smart. Now, however, Margie and Tommy lived in the future world of 23rd century where education was completely computerized. They don't have schools, they have a special study room where a computer teaches them. The computer word actually isn't used in the actual text. The word that is used is mechanical teacher. The computer teacher is programmed and adjusted according to the needs of each child. Now and then, the computer teacher develops some fault which is fixed by a county inspector. The county inspector was very nice to Margie. Both Tommy and Margie wonder at the book found by Tommy in his attic. They wonder at the book as they read books on screen of the computer teacher. Now, Margie cannot take her, you remember, she cannot take her mind off the schools, the fun they had, the students of the previous years, centuries ago. They must have, what fun they must have had. She cannot stop thinking about those. And she feels that this teacher is boring. She does not like the mechanical teaching and learning, and she wonders how much fun it would be studying in a school with other children and studying, being taught by a human teacher. This is the gist of the story. Now we come to the question answers. Now, calculate how many years and months ahead from now Margie's diary entry is. So I have done a bit of a calculation for you. It's like based on the present date 14 April 2020. And according to my calculation, the answer would be 137 years, 1 month, and 3 days. So you can do a calculation on your own. Now, coming to the first question, how old are Margie and Tommy? So Margie is 11, while Tommy is 13 years old. What did Margie write in her diary? Question is right here. Yes. What did Margie write in her diary? Margie wrote in her diary, today Tommy found a real book. Had Margie ever seen a book before? No, Margie had never seen a book before. What things about the book did she find strange? Margie found it strange that the words printed in a book stood still instead of moving the way they did on a screen. Okay, like I told you, like the Kindle app that we have. She also found it odd that the words on a page always remain the same as the first time they were read. Besides, the idea that someone would write a book about schools was itself strange for Margie because she did not like schools. So she felt, why would anyone write about a school? What do you think a telebook is? Question 5. A telebook is a book that can be read on screen. Words move on the screen for the readers to read. Question 6. Where was Margie's school? Did she have any classmates? Margie's school was in her house itself, next to her bedroom. No, she did not have any classmates. What subjects did Margie and Tommy learn? So we know from the text that these are the subjects, geography, history, and arithmetic, that they are learning these subjects. Now the second question is, I wouldn't throw it away. Who says these words? Tommy says these words. What does it refer to? This is italicized. What does it mean? So it means, or it refers to the television screen. We won't throw it away because there were so many books stored in it. What is it being compared with by the speaker? So Tommy is comparing the television screen with printed books of the earlier times. Second RTC. Sure, they had a teacher, but it wasn't a regular teacher. It was a man. So who does they refer to? So the word they refers to the students who studied in the old kind of schools centuries before the time the story is set in. What does regular mean here? Here, the term regular refers to the mechanical teachers that Tommy and Margie have. What is it contrasted with? The mechanical teacher is contrasted with the teacher of the earlier times who was a man. Now, answering in a paragraph, short paragraph, not too long, just about 30 words. Okay. So the first one is, what kind of teachers did Margie and Tommy have? So Margie and Tommy had mechanical teachers with large black screens that flashed lessons and questions. These teachers had slots where the students had to put their homework and test papers. Question 2. Why did Margie's mother send for the county inspector? Margie had been consistently failing to perform well in the geography tests given by her mechanical teacher. So, in order to find out the reason behind this, her mother sent for the county inspector. What did he do? The county inspector took apart the teacher and after examining it, assembled it again. He slowed up the geography sector of the teacher because it was geared up a little too fast for an average 10-year-old. Why was Margie doing badly in geography? What did the computer teacher? What did the county inspector do to help her? So Margie was doing badly in geography because the geography sector of the mechanical teacher had been adjusted at a higher level. which Margie was finding difficult to study. And in order to help her, the county inspector slowed down this sector to an average 10-year-old level, although Margie was 11 years old. So this is another, example, the difference between uh, the school of our times and a school uh, depicted here in the story. So, what had once happened to Tommy's teacher? Once Tommy's teacher was taken away for nearly a month because its history sector had blanked out completely. Did Margie have regular days and hours for school? If so, why? Yes, she had regular days and hours for school. The mechanical teacher always turned on at the same time every day except Saturdays and Sundays. This was because her mother believed that learning at regular hours helped little girls learn better. So, we know this for a fact. We also have regular classes at regular times, and boys and girls, they all learn better when they study. They have regular hours for study. So question 7 is, how does Tommy describe the old kind of school? Tommy says that the old kind of school existed centuries ago. They had a teacher who was a man. The teacher taught in a special building where all the kids assembled and learned the same things according to their respective ages. Now, these were short answers. Now, slightly longer ones. What are the main features of the mechanical teachers and the school rooms that Margie and Tommy have in the story? What are the main features? So this is like, the description of the schools of of the future that are depicted in the story. There can also be a question when you are asked to compare between the two kinds of schools, like the schools that we have today and the schools that are described in the story. So Tommy says that the old kind of school existed centuries ago. There was a teacher. They had a teacher who was a man. This teacher taught in a special building where all the kids assembled and learned the same things according to their respective ages. Now, question 8 is, how does he describe the old kind of teachers? So, he says that, Tommy says that the teachers of the old kind were men who taught the students inside a special building. The teachers taught the children in groups and gave them homework and asked them questions. Okay. Now, the longer answers. What are the main features of the mechanical teachers and the school rooms that Margie and Tommy have in the story? So, the main features. I'll read out the answer for you. Margie and Tommy had mechanical teachers. Now, everything, children, that you have studied about the mechanical teacher, the mechanical teachers in the story, all the points have been included in this answer. Everything that we read out here is the the input that we get from the book itself, from the answer, from the lesson. These teachers were basically large black screens on which the lessons were shown and questions were asked. These teachers were adjusted according to the age and potential of the students concerned. They had a slot in which the students had to put their homework and test papers. The mechanical teacher immediately calculated the marks for the answers written in punch codes by the students. However, these teachers were prone to technical and mechanical failure and troubles. Prone to means they were liable to. They had this tendency. The weakness was that they could break down. Okay, so the schools were in their schools itself. Okay, the school room we are talking about now. were in its there were schools were in the homes itself. In fact, Margie's school was right next to a bedroom. Students did not have classmates. They had regular days and hours for school. Like us, the mechanical teacher always turned on at the same time every day except Saturdays and Sundays. So the next question is, why did Margie hate school? Why did she think the old kind of school must have been fun? See, children, these kind of questions, 100 words or 80 words, 100 to 150 words, and so on, the slightly longer ones, they usually have two answers embedded in the question. Uh, Embedded two answers or two questions embedded in one question. So you have to pay attention that you have to see whether you have answered both parts of the questions, and then you also have to proportionately divide the number of words. Okay, if both the questions are equally important or of equal length, the answers would be of equal length, then you have to divide the number of words. Like if it is 100 words, then 50 for the first part, 50 for the second part. So this kind of calculation you have to do before you start writing. Okay, and this thing is called organization. When we tell you that your writing has to be organized, this is what we manage, this is what we tell you, and this is how you manage your time also, right, during the examination. So the question, there are two questions. Why did Margie hate school? So you have to answer this, and then why did she think the old kind of school must have been fun? Okay, so now we get come to this answer. So see, first paragraph first, answer, first part of the question, second part of the question. Now, Margie hated school because it was not fun. She hated the large black screen, and she calls it ugly also. And the way she had to insert the homework and test papers in the slot on the mechanical teacher. She disliked the fact that she had to write her answers in a punch code. Besides, her hatred for school was amplified. Amplified means increased by her failure to fare well in the geography tests given by the mechanical teacher. Now, why did she think the old kind of school must have been fun? The answer is right here. Margie imagined the old kind of school with kids from the entire neighborhood coming together, laughing and shouting in the schoolyard. She imagined that they would sit together in the classroom and go home together at the end of the day. They would learn the same things and could help one another with the homework. Also, the teachers were people, making the learning process more interactive. All these aspects made her believe that the old kind of school must have been fun, and she was right. Do you agree with Margie that schools today are more fun than the school in the story? Give reasons for your answer. So you have to say whether you agree or not, and then the reason. So yes, I agree that schools today are more fun than the school in the story. Studying and answering questions seems to be a boring idea without the presence of classmates. Writing homework in punch codes, and that too without anybody's help, would be draining. Children develop a better understanding about each other and their surroundings when they go to a school and interact with others. Right. Human teachers are people, and they are more understanding and accommodating than mechanical ones that are programmed to teach in a specific way. The excitement in waiting for the marks scored in exams is greater when one is sitting in a classroom with fellow students. It does not have the same effect when marks are calculated immediately after a test has been taken. Therefore, schools today are more fun than the school in the story, as they are more interactive and promote a healthier way of learning. So with this, children, we come to part 2 of chapter 1, the fun they had. We have done a recap of the entire story, and we have also discussed the literature based questions. So when we meet next, That is in the third part of this chapter. We're going to deal with the questions, the vocabulary questions, the writing, and other questions given at the back of the lesson after given after these literature questions. So till we meet again, goodbye. Take care.